What's up, class? So today we are working on designing our creative introductions, which are going to serve as magazine covers. So as we're designing these magazine covers, one of the things that we're going to be looking at is inputting or utilizing an image, adding your images in Canva, um, using your headings, your subheadings, subtitles, all different kind of things to emphasize what it is that you're going to talk about. So here on the screen, you see is my template magazine cover, if you will, utilizing the image of me as if I'm on Vogue magazine. So here is a font. It's a serif font. Excuse me. It's a serif font that allows me to kind of look like Vogue, but not really, because Vogue has a totally different font. So as we're designing a template, right? One of the first things on here is that the magazine is file size. Here it says 8.5 by 11. So where you see it says 8.5 by 11 on the file size, we want to keep it like that. So when you're going into Canva and you're designing, pick a letterhead size magazine or a letterhead size canvas to work on, which is the size of printer paper. And so we're going to just make it the size of printer paper so that if we wanted to print it, we can print it out on our normal printer and just keep moving. So with that being said, I'm going to walk you through how I went about designing this and some little tips and tricks of things that you can do along the way. Okay. So I'm going to hit new page. As I hit new page, notice I have a blank white page. I am going to come here and go to uploads. In my uploads, I'm going to come here and I'm going to utilize this image. This is my image. I want to take this image and I'm going to right click and then set this image as the background. So now this is my background image. Anything I put is going to be on top of this image. So when we're working with design in a design process, we have to think about layers and how layers stack upon one another. So with it being the background, that means it's going to be the bottom layer. So I can also take this layer and I can copy it and then I can paste it and I could bring another one. So I'm going to come here. Oh, so because I made it, my background is locking to the background. So what I'll do here is I'm going to just click in and I want to bring this up in size because I want to just bring this down. So notice that you see the silhouette around it. Um, I'm going to bring it up. I'll bring it down just like that. Kind of cut it, frame it. Notice that you have the lines showing three boxes, 3, 6, 9. That's using my rule of thirds. I don't want my composition just straight in the center, but I want it kind of off to the side, activating that space right here and bringing my work over and kind of curving up. Okay, so I'm going to hit okay. So now if I went to text, right, I'm going to put a heading. If I'm going to continue to use Vogue, and I'm going to put Vogue up here at the top, right there. Now, notice that you could barely see Vogue. So one of the things that we have to do is we have to change the font color. And so I'm just going to go ahead and change the font color to this. And whenever you're working with different typefaces and fonts, your typeface really changes the feel of the overall thing. This bold horizon font, gives it a totally different feel than this font right here that says Vogue. So notice the difference. So this one, I'm going to go from the bold to the serif, and it now changes the feel on it. This one has a little bit more of an elegant type of feel, where the other one kind of was bold in your face kind of feel. Okay, so now I'm going to just enlarge it. I can enlarge it by dragging out the corners, or I can just come in and say, I want this font to be 145, and come in just like that. And now it says bold, kind of there, right? So the other thing is Vogue typically showcases the size, I mean, not the size, the month of the issue. So I'm going to come right underneath the E and put August, AUG for August. So that is the August edition right here, right? Um, I think I want it a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to also change the font. I don't want it to be the serif because it's not as noticeable. So I'm just going to use the Canva Sans. And you see how I changed the font and it changed what it looked like. So I'm going to go here and I want it to be all caps. So I'm going to hit the uppercase right here, and then it brings it to exactly what I need. So now that I have that on my page, I'm going to start to now think about um, using different elements. So I want a barcode. If I want to use a barcode, I'm going to just type in barcode. And in the barcode, I'm just going to say, see all. Mm, and I'll just go with, I'll switch the type of barcode I used. I'll go with one of these and go there, just like that. So now I have my barcode added if somebody wanted to scan my image. Now, these barcodes, of course, aren't actually identified and tied to actual your image for purchase or anything, but this barcode is going to just be for play, if you will, to show that this is a magazine cover and that you're on the cover of Vogue and everything. Um, so now I'm going to come in and I'm going to add a subheading. And so I'm going to say Rob Rob the Art Teach talks all things art and fashion. And so Rob the Art Teach talks all things art and fashion is what I wanted to say. I want to keep Rob the Art Teach as a heading by itself. So I'm going to kind of size up where I want it to be. And I want, rather than it being centered, I want it to kind of fall along that same line of things. So Canva does a good job of having like the measuring tool to show you where everything lines up at. That's what the dotted purple lines are. And I'm going to come here. Now, I want it to be all caps on mine. So I'm going to come here. Rob the Art Teach talks all things art and fashion. But I want Rob the Art Teach to stand out. So I'm going to come here and I'm just going to change it to that brown, that tan kind of color right there. So Rob the Art Teach talks all things art and fashion. Lets them know kind of who I am and what's going to be expected inside of the magazine. This one have here, it says up next, Mr. Rob. Up next, Mr. Rob talks fashion, art, and family. Tells you a little bit about who I am, that I must be into fashion, I must be into art, and I must have something to do with family as well. Um, then I had an exclusive. So I like to just copy and paste. So I just hit Command C or Control C and Control V. And I'm going to select all. And then I'm going to put my exclusive. My exclusive, I don't need it to be as big of a font as this one. So I'm going to just drop down the font, but not that big, not that small. I'm going to drop down the font to be somewhere in here. So now that the font is somewhere in here, I'm going to go ahead and update what I'm putting underneath. 1 second. Okay, so now that I have my exclusive, right? I'll copy and paste and then make sure my exclusive lines up with this. I'm going to make sure the font is just white. And what exclusive am I talking about? Exclusive tips and tricks. I like, we'll use that. Tips and tricks for a successful mm, tips and tricks for success as an art. Tips and tricks for success as an art educator. So I can come here. If I really wanted to emphasize tips and tricks, I could size it up as well, just so that it kind of gets the attention of the viewer, um, and whatnot. And I don't want them that close together. So I'm going to bring down that and bring my exclusive down as well. And then I will have something in this kind of corner right here. And so I'm going to add another right here. Now this one I'm gonna kind of bring long. It's probably going to be more so long and narrow. This one is sneak peek of Louis Vuitton runway show. Um, so let's just say I'm sneak peeking. Sneak peek into 24-25 school year art projects. Um, Stop showing that. And so I kind of want it to be along those lines right there. So now I'm changing all my font to white. Notice what happens. It's not really legible. So because it's not really legible, I want to make sure I change up what I have going on, right? And so I want to try to see where I can put it right here. Don't Another thing you want to make sure is you don't have anything too close to the edge of the cutoff going off and on your picture plane, because usually during a printing process, it can cut off whatever it is that you're printing if you have it too close to the edge. So there's a rule of thumb around printing. Um, I can't off the top of my head remember. I think it's what 0.025, if I'm not mistaken. Um, that you want to make sure that you have bordered around so that it doesn't get cut off when you're designing. I want this to be bigger, like that. Um, and I'm gonna just kind of come here and size up just like that. And just to match all my fonts and what's going on, I'm going to go here. I don't like what just happened. So I'm going to open it up a little bit. There we go. And then I am going to add an effect on it. And the effect I'm going to add is a lift, and I'm going to increase the intensity of that lift. And so notice now that the intensity of the lift is there, I can see, but I'm going to just kind of copy and paste that and put that back over here so that I copied and pasted what it was to increase the intensity of that to really define what's going on as they're sneaking a peek. And maybe I can come here and see what it looks like if I do everything right justified. I think I might like that. And I'm just dragging and dropping because if I click and drag over, I can select both layers. I can also click and then hit group, and I could automatically group the layers. So now anything that I do, it moves, it doesn't divide into two, it stays as one. Okay. Some things that you can do is if you wanted to overlap fonts and things like that, let me just hit duplicate. If you wanted to overlap your image, let's kind of delete some of this stuff out. So let's just go to uploads. Let's say I did this image again, and I came here, um, and I hit edit, and I background removed. Now you see me moving around without a background. This is still in the foreground. So what I can do is I can go to layer, and I can hit bring forward. And now I'm above that layer right there. So I can kind of size up my image, get my image to pretty much align with it. Get my image to pretty much align with it. Along those lines. And now you see my head is above the Vogue. Um, I could bring it back and then bring this behind. And now you see I'm kind of still in there, but my image, now my head is in front of the Vogue. but I still keep my background because I'm dividing the images in two different images using one image. And so there's different like ways you can play around with this and really have fun with it. But I want you guys to try to work with some layers, play around with it, add layers, allow us to find out a little bit more information about you. Your headings and everything should tell us a little bit about you. If you're a dancer, put put yourself on the top cover of a dance magazine where you're allowing yourself to showcase what it is that you do, so that you can build titles and segments and subtitles that give a little insight on what you who you are and what you have going